We have a lot of games coming up, and we have opportunities to right our wrongs, but the disappointment of being one and done in this competition is immense. But we we have a lot of soccer left. We have a lot of our season left. We can turn our season around, but the mentality needs to be one that it's easy to say, but we need to get to a point where we don't lose at home. We refuse to lose at home.
That was Toronto FC head coach Robin Fraser Wednesday night after Toronto FC were knocked out of the TELUS Canadian Championship in the preliminary round after a home loss in penalties to CF Montreal. Wheeler, Conway, and KJ with you. Toronto FC followed that up Saturday with a 2-0 home loss to the New England Revolution. April 30th, 2025. Is that the date where Toronto FC's 2025 campaign came to an end? Because it really begs the question what the team is actually playing for from here on out. John, you're a longtime member of the Toronto FC staff. These are difficult moments for the club on and off the field.
Yeah, really difficult for the club. Somebody who loves the club and played for the club, worked for the club, who's good friends with the head coach now of the club. It's painful to watch and painful to see him going through this. You know, I think they really have to make wholesale changes with some players if they can. I mean, at the end of the day, it's difficult to do based on the contracts. So the rest of the year is going to be about playing for a job, in my opinion. They have time to change it and turn it around, but you're asking a lot of them based on what we've seen so far. And it's going to be really tough to do, KJ, going in for the rest of the year.
I just look at this team where they are one win. They can't score goals. The squad, for me, just isn't good enough. I can't see a situation that they work their way back into even a conversation with the top nine teams in the Eastern Conference. It seems far-fetched to me. I think season is done, and every decision that you need to make from here on out has eyes on 2026 and how to get yourself in a position to be competitive next season at the very least.
100%. The season's over. It's over. And let's be honest, like, I know you guys are sports fans. Like, you see these teams in the NBA squeaking in like 10th and then getting swept 4-0 in the first round. Like, that's TFC's version if they ever were to make a miraculous run anyway. Anyone who believes that this team is good enough to win a playoff game, you're not watching the team. It's just not good enough at this level to be doing that right now. It isn't talented enough to be able to do that. It's the earliest an MLS team has ever been knocked out of the Canadian Championship in terms of the calendar month at the end of April. And yeah, look, it's been a disaster, no doubt about it. And from the team point of view, I'm with John. Like, it's if you're giving Robin the keys to handle this, he needs complete 100% autonomy in deciding who plays for this team and who no longer plays for this team. And it can't be based on anything from a financial point of view, because otherwise, what is the point? What is the point? You have to figure out how you are building the brick by brick going forward and how you're going to cut loose everybody else. That's what it is. And if you're not in it for the future, or if you're not good enough for the future, the team has to get rid of you.
There are a lot of old players playing for this team who are on bad contracts. Like, this isn't anything new. 2021, they finished 13th. 2022, 13th. 23, 15th. Last year, 11th. Over the 146 games that they played, and including this season as well, their goal differential is minus 106. And yet, what's happening here? I personally think that if you're going to look for solutions, they need to start at the top. Who is making footballing decisions at the club? Who is signing the players? Who is building the squad? And I look at Jason Hernandez, former teammate of yours, like a guy that we know, very nice guy. What has he done from a managerial perspective, a front office perspective over the course of his career that would make anyone decide to put him in the position of a rebuild of the magnitude that's required with this club right now? I think it's quite frankly unfair on Jason. I think he's in over his head. I think that players are in over their head in terms of what's being asked of them because they're not good enough. It's happened with coaches at the club. Everyone is being asked to do too much. It starts at the very top. in that decision-making process, who to sign, who to hire, what the club identity is, how they're going to get out of this. It starts at the very top. And until that's rectified, John, I just don't see there being a way out.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look back, and you listed the results for those years, if I look back, it all started with letting Greg go. That decision not to re-sign Greg and keep him here is when this thing started to go off the rails. And since that point, they've just snowballed. The decision's gotten worse and worse. And now we're at a point now where we just need to cut everybody loose and start over. I feel bad for Robin because he has to deal with this. And I'm sure he was promised when he was taking the job that this would be dealt with, that the Italians would be sorted out before he came in, or the Italians would be solution. There'd be a solution there. And that just hasn't happened. Just hasn't happened. And now you're stuck with these two guys eating up a ton of money, and you can't do anything else. I mean, you have a few other contracts that probably aren't ideal, but those two are just sucking up a ton of loot.
Let's go. The handling of the Lorenzo Insigne situation this season is downright shocking. Somehow they spun it and tried to put it on the manager as his decision whether to play Insigne or not. I think that is far from the truth. The fact that they froze him out and they got desperate enough to put him back on, and now you see the output, the little to no impact that he's had on the team, it's shocking that he's even still playing.
But it's not. But why are we surprised if an organization that is run and owned by the company, let's call it what it is, it's not borderline, it absolutely is nothing short of negligence, the way this club has been run. Negligent, okay? It's negligent to the point where the fans are paying an enormous amount of money.
Yep.
And they are the ones that care more than anybody, and they've been treated very, very poorly because the company that is running the club, as I said, it bears repeating, negligent in the way that they've handled this team. So why then should we be shocked that they are handling it the same way when it comes to these two players, and in particular, Lorenzo Insigne, who is still getting the honour, which is what it is, of wearing an armband to represent a football club that is nothing short of a disgrace of a contract and the way that he's performed since the moment he's walked into that team. And he still gets to pick and choose when he wants to play, not starting games. And the other one, by the way, how is the other one, Federico Bernardeschi, how is he playing 90 minutes last week, no minutes in the biggest game of their season on Wednesday, and 90 minutes today? Explain that to me. Oh, and then Robin Fraser has to say that he has a little bit of a niggle with his ankle injury. For me, I would be asking questions about, does he want to play in that game? Does he want to play? And I'd also like to ask questions about what does his contract say about his bonuses when it comes to what position and what competitions is he playing in? They're all things that need to be asked, because that is your biggest game of the season, and he plays 90 minutes on Saturday, and he plays 90 minutes today, and he doesn't play 1 minute? I don't understand that. I don't understand that one bit.
I don't understand it either, but there's obviously something going on behind the scenes that we all don't know about with regards to that. And you hit an interesting point about him deciding not to play, whether it was an ankle injury or not. It wasn't an MLS game. Maybe he only gets his bonuses if he scores and plays an MLS game.
And the fact it's been documented that he had a kicker in his contract where if he picked up one more assist last season, then his contract extended through 2028, which is the case. And this is a player where the redeeming quality amongst casual fans is that, well, at least he works hard. That's where the bar is set for a player that played, it was a European Championship winner with Italy, like playing for Juventus. That's where his bar is being set. Look, it requires open heart surgery. And some of these pickups and moves, picking fringe players and bringing them in, okay. You need to bring in core players. Like, working on the outside doesn't work. That's what we've been seeing from this club for 5 years. Short-term or potential outside solutions without that open heart surgery.
What is the logo? What is the motto of the team?
All for one?
All for one, right? And that one is supposed to be all for one Toronto. It's all for one each other.
Yep.
That's what's the problem, right?
Yeah. On, like, the off-the-field issues, okay, I'm just on the field. There are some players who are okay in the squad that can be serviceable MLS players. It's like the contracts that they have just make them completely unmovable. So if you are Robin Fraser right now, what do you do? That's the question. They're committed to Robin, at least to the point where they were willing to trade what looks to be the top overall pick in the MLS Super Draft to bring in 2 assistant coaches for him. So they gave up a potential asset. You can turn up your nose at the MLS Super Draft, but the last time they gave up a draft pick to Colorado, it turned out to be Moise Bombito.
Yep.
So there can be some value there. So if you're Robin, what do you do at a time like this?
Squeeze as much out of it as you can. I mean, at this point, try and get the best that you can out of it. Develop a few players that are sitting in your second team, on the fringe of the first team. See if you can get them going in the right direction. And hopefully they're there next year and set the example of how you want to play, how you want to train, your style of play, and kind of build from there. Because at this point, that's all you can hope for.
You guys know him a little bit more than I do, and you know him a lot more than I do. But one thing about Robin is that he's a good person.
Yes.
And you bring in real. We just spent the last block talking about how Vancouver turned this around by bringing in high caliber character people, and they know what it's like to be that way. So if that's the case, and he is that person. Those people also have tremendous self-awareness, and they also can read people really well because he's a good person. He needs to surround himself with those people. And as I said, if anybody, player, other staff member aren't that way, he needs to be listened to and need to be given the freedom to say, no, thank you. No matter what your contract is, you're no longer here.
Well put. There are some good people and some very smart people still at the club, but you're right. Their voice needs to be heard in this process, or else it's simply not going to change. A reminder, we're just over a year out from Toronto FC in Toronto FC's own stadium hosting World Cup games. This run, for all the wrong reasons, couldn't happen at a worse time. The Canadian Premier League on TSN, presented by One Soccer, rolls on. Look at that. Halifax Wanderers and Cavalry next weekend. Big week for Halifax.
What a tough week.
Forge, and then Cavalry. So a good test for Patrice Geyser and company, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time next weekend. It's best and or worst, and that's coming up next.